Let's Talk to Animals. My name is Shannon. I'm an animal intuitive and sensitive, an animal communicator. That shriek you just heard, if you're listening to the podcast version, is Pearl Cuts. He's my 23-year-old feathered sidekick, and he never misses an episode. And I promise he's only present for the intro. Now he's on my lap. He's about to go to sleep, and he's very happy. So we here at Let's Talk to Animals, we are all about de-wooing animal communication. We are all about demystifying the process, unlocking the secret gate, letting everybody in on the secret that we all have this ability, and kind of guiding you through some of the steps you can take if you're curious. Perhaps if animal communication is on your bucket list, pretty good thing to add if it isn't there already. I highly recommend it. And I invite talented, compassionate, amazing people on this show to share what animal communication is like, how it works, how they got started, what it has done to change their life and open up new opportunities, and most importantly, to invite you to join our community, invite you to come along for the ride. It's a pretty cool group of people, and we all love animals. And if that sounds like your jam, we might be the place for you. So tonight we have Miss Donna Hamer with us. She is also Donna DoLittle online, and I will put her website in the show notes, but you can reach her. It is actually because she's from the wonderful natural world down under. It's a little different than what you're used to. It's Donna DoLittle with 1 O, not 2.com.au. And so I will put that in the show notes for you so you can reach her. And Donna is coming to us just a handful of days before she is headed away on a restful holiday. And we are so grateful that she's making time for us. And apparently you've got lots of rain there. It's probably a sleepy day today when we're recording this, but you have made time to be with us, and we are so grateful. So welcome to Let's Talk to Animals.
Thank you, Shannon. I'm really excited about being here. And yes, I am going on holidays in 5 days' time. I'm going to a beautiful place called Carnarvon Gorge, which is out west. And there'll be no internet, and I'll just be able to connect with nature and animals. I mean, it's an animal communicator's dream, right?
It absolutely is. The original connection. Zoom and the World Wide Web is it's just a high profile imitator, isn't it? It's just a wannabe. And that's actually what we're going to talk about for the rest of our time together. We are going to talk about the original connection, the original World Wide Web of interspecies communication. And Donna, you've been doing this for some years now. You are working professionally, you are serving people all over the world, and yet there was a time in your past when this was all shiny and new to you, and you probably were like, what? And so we've got a lot of listeners, a lot of viewers who are in that position right now and are thinking, is this even something that I can do? Isn't the market flooded with animal communicators? Aren't there's just too many choices. I don't know where to start. Isn't this all just a little too woo for my friends and family? So if you would, just rewind us back to when you first knew that this was even possible. What was that like? How did your journey begin?
I think I can say I relate to everybody out there who has heard about animal communication, but they think, what does it really mean? And so essentially for me, I adopted a golden retriever called Fergie about 8.5 years ago. And this lady offered me an animal communication session. And I had no idea what it was. And I thought, it all sounds a little bit weird, but why not? Let's just enjoy it, or let's just say yes, because I like going to psychics. So what could it hurt, right? Anyway, she
Absolutely.
was so I'm in Australia, in Queensland, Australia, and she was in South America and Peru, and she Skyped me, and I sent in all of my animals, or sent pictures of all my animals, and I had a menagerie. I had 4 dogs and 2 cats, so I sent them off, and she started telling me this information, and I thought, there's no way she could have known some of those things, right? Because, the rescue dog I just got, she enlightened me about things that occurred for him. But I had a cat that was weeing on the carpet. And like, I was really at the end of my tether, and she told me things about him. And I thought, oh, so by the end of the conversation, I said to her, is this something other people can do? Like, you must be really, really special. And she said, no, Donna, everybody can do it. And I said, yeah, but I don't think I could. And she said, yes, you can. You just need to believe in yourself. So I hung up that call and I thought, okay, I want to learn, where do I start? And I really couldn't find anything, excuse me, out there. And so it took me another 2 more years to play, because I kept looking and looking. And, the thing is I was getting messages from my animals, but, why would I listen to them, right? Because, that would just seem too normal. So eventually I actually found a psychic to work with. And she got me started on the path, and it sort of moved on from there. But when I sat back and I looked at it and thought about things, and even last night I was thinking about, oh, I've got the call with Shannon today. Mm-hmm. All of my life I had connections with animals. Things like, I remember playing in our backyard and the dog was lying beside me and I'm pushing him away, go away, go away. And then I looked down and he'd cut his throat open. And, I thought, well, now as an animal communicator, I knew he came to me for help because I was the one intuitively connected with him. And there were so many incidences I can look back over my childhood and see that we had that connection, but I didn't know or understand. I took the action, but I didn't know or understand. And for the people that are listening, thinking I'd love to do this, it's scary, right? Because what happens when we finally acknowledge that we can do this? All of our friends are going to laugh at us, right? That was my next big hurdle to get over. People will think I'm crazy. Well, I've embraced being crazy. I'm definitely crazy. I love it. And now anybody looks at me and they go, oh, that stuff's rubbish, I just start to laugh because I think, sad for you that you're locked in a world that you can't see the possibilities.
Yeah, it's so profound. It's very moving to listen to you. I feel like I've been lucky on 2 counts to come to this relatively late in life, and also to have a longtime mentor who often says, I love weird, I love woo. And I felt this way too. It's like sometimes at some point in our life, I feel like we all kind of come to that crossroads and we say, okay, am I normal or not? And that's usually the point where people start to realize, wait a minute, there is no normal. And that means everybody's weird and everybody's woo. And that makes this place a whole much more interesting, cooler place to live. And so I love that you're just like, you know what, let me go ahead and do the woo thing. And you were already, connecting with psychics, and I love that your passion was such that you found a way. You just didn't give up and you found a way. And somehow that has led you all the way through what I would imagine are probably many months and maybe years of trying to find your unique contribution. Because I also feel like everybody has a unique contribution to bring, and to the point of thinking, well, there's usually 2 fears that newbies have. One is, oh my God, everybody's gonna laugh at me and think I'm so weird, and they're all gonna talk, or they're gonna, and the other is, oh my God, they're gonna start bringing me all their animals, and it's like, and I'm just gonna be, and so it's like, regardless of which end of the spectrum you're on, you can expect that making the choice for you is going to have a lasting ripple effect. When we make the choice for ourselves, you might be surprised that some of your less brave feeling friends, colleagues, associates may start to tiptoe out of their own little self-enclosed closets and may just decide that your life looks like more fun than theirs and they want to be a part of it. So I love, Donna, that you're so brave and open to speak to those people who are listening tonight or this morning or whenever they're listening or they're watching and thinking, oh no, I could never do that. It would disrupt things. Disruption can be fun, guys and gals. Disruption can be cool. And frankly, disruption pretty much is what we're all living through right now. So why not make some decisions about what that disruption is going to look like? It doesn't all have to be the upsetting, chaotic, distressing kind. It can be the wonderful, freeing, enlivening, expansive kind. And I would love to see more of you join us. And I want to say one quick thing, and I'm going to get back to you and your story, Donna. But, you know, I run across this frequently where people feel like, oh my gosh, marketing, the market's glutted. Look at how many animal communicators there are. First of all, yay. Second of all, it's still a drop in the bucket compared to all the animals that have never had the chance to talk to any human and would love to. So don't let you know, in your story, you're talking about you were already receiving the communication, but you weren't actually, your left brain was so like, no, this is the way it goes, you know. And our brains can be really powerful. Imagine what you could do if you made a different decision. Yes, this is possible. Imagine, because your brain is either going to be your, you know, in my own classes, I talk to students and I say, okay, your brain can either be your mind can either be your detractor, your enemy, your roadblock, or it can be your best friend and your helper on this journey. So Donna, you found a psychic to work with. You started your journey and it progressed. So how did you get from there to here, right?
Well, the interesting thing is I chose a psychic because I couldn't find any animal communicators. Can you believe that, right? And she just popped into my life, and it was really good because I had been to this lady previously to do meditation and a variety of things. So, you know, in one way, I had been on my spiritual journey, if you want to call it, for some time. I loved going to meditation and doing different things, but I've got to say, I'd always wanted to work with animals, but I couldn't see a path to earn income. And I'll talk about income now because it's the dirty word. Everyone goes, oh, you can't charge. But the thing is I was a single mum. I had a mortgage to pay, mouths to feed. So I had to find, you know, yes, I love this, and yes, this is all fun, but I needed to make sure that whatever I was doing in my life was financially going to support me, because I used to do digital marketing and websites and all sorts of things. So, you know, I had a fairly good career in that, but it wasn't fulfilling me. And that was why I went, well, you know what, I'm going to give this a try. And I was so scared. And, you know, it was like, what will people say when they see I've come from this side of Donna to this side of Donna? And even now, I was at an event on Saturday, and these ladies, who are high profile ladies, said something, and I said, yeah, I'm a pet psychic. And they went, you're what? And I said, I'm a pet psychic. And they went, I've never heard this. How do I not know this? And I whipped out my business card and I started to laugh because God love my sister. She won't be listening to this, so I can talk about her. She has never said this to people because that would be embarrassing, right? Because my sister's weird and she talks to animals. So, you know, it's always that thing to push forward. But what I'm going to say to people that, you know, I started with this lady and she was great, but I learned that there was a big difference between a pet psychic and an animal communicator. And that was from working with different people. But what I want to say to you, if you are on this path, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. You know, one of my things that I love and what I teach is to dispel the myths. You don't need to be holding, where are my crystals? You don't need to be holding crystals. You don't need pendulums. You don't need whatever. It's all in here, right? We have all been given this gift. It's how we choose to use it in whatever method. And that's really been my journey since then, is to dispel the myths of, you know, do you call them your baby? Oh, we're not allowed to call them their baby because we've got to honor them. I'm going to say my little poodle who's 17 lying on the floor beside me, she's my baby. I don't give a tosser. You know, I honor her. I love her. Sure, I'm her guardian, or you can't say owner. I don't care. You know, I don't care, because if I said to her, honey, am I your owner? Am I your guardian? She's going to say it doesn't matter, right? Because as long as we have that connection. So this has been my biggest thing. I'm a bit of a rebel, I suppose. You know, I've broken the norm because, you know, in I suppose the UK, there's a lot of animal communicators. In America, there's a lot of animal communicators. There's not lots of us down under. And I just am different to them. You know, when you come and work with me, be it we're doing an animal communication session like this, because this is how I work, all on Zoom, or you come to my classes, we just throw all that rubbish out. We don't get attached to all these labels, because what I want to do is share the message from your pets and share that through, so that you, if you're my, say, customer, or you're the guardian on the other side, it resonates for you in whatever way it's got to be. I mean, I had a dog in spirit the other day, and I swear to God, he said his name 25 times in the course of our call, but it was saying fun things to me. And I would repeat this sentence to Mum, and it'd have his name in there. And I'm going to say his name was Chance. So it'd be like, what's the chance of this happening in your life twice? And what's I was laughing my head off, right? Because what's the chance of that happening? Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And the animals are just so funny. Like, I love what I do. If, you know, I could have been doing this for the last 30 years that I've been working, imagine how amazing it would be, because the animals have fun with us. And every session I do, I come away having a little chuckle, or my soul is filled up from connecting with them. I got a little off course there, didn't I?
No, not at all. Not at all. And as you know, and it's so interesting, because there are those roadblocks again, you know, the mind with what one of my longtime mentors, not that he knows it, but not that I care, is Don Miguel Ruiz Sr. And he's the author of the 4 Agreements. And he talks about this initial process that we all go through of what he calls domestication. And we learn the rules of the road. We learn the rules of polite engagement. We learn what human beings do and don't do, and can and can't do, and how they should and shouldn't behave. We learn please and thank you, or at least we're supposed to, and what words are okay in polite society and what words are not. And all of this has to just, you know, toss it out, and just, it has to take a back seat to being present in each moment for what feels right, what feels appropriate. And it's not about labels. It's not about who owns whom. It's about, there's just no accident that you and I are together, and what our species, it doesn't matter.
That's right.
And the thing that the most magical part of it is, for me at least, is realizing that these interspecies family members that I share my life with, they really are my best friends. And I share on my website that I was afraid at first, even when I started studying formally, to talk to my own animals, because I really, really thought they were going to just all tell me what a bad pet parent I was. And I was so afraid. I was like, no. Because I was the person who hired animal communicators. I never thought I could do this. You know, I always thought, oh, those, just like what you shared, oh, those special people, they're so lucky. And so even when I started, I was just like, it took me a really long time and some, you know, not just all fun and light and games. Of course, we have some very serious conversations going on, but to be able to bring humor into a very serious conversation is a very high state. I mean, you have to be pretty evolved to be able to laugh about, you know, your own time of death, or your serious medical issue, or whatever's going on in the family. And realizing that these animals, they're never unkind. They're truthful, often funny, not once. I mean, my interspecies family members, sometimes they bite you a little more than you might like. Those of you who are listening and don't know, that smack was a kiss on my parrot's belly. He does have the softest belly feathers on the planet. Just want everyone to know that. But truthfully, you know, if you're sitting there and going, you know, I sure would love to do this, but I don't want all that negative feedback. It's like, you're not going to get negative feedback. You're going to get honesty with unconditional love, just like you've always already been getting. And so, you know, let's just enlighten those of our listeners or our viewers who have never, like, what is it like? I love that you just shared it's funny and you get a little chuckle, it's humorous, but like, what is it like? Like, how do you know it's happening? Because you said you didn't even know, right, for years. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, I think this has always already been happening. I have a feeling a lot of people will relate to that.
I think the thing that, for me personally, I went to several people and did weekend things. And for me, it seemed too easy. Like this, I need to go see somebody else because this is too easy, right? How could this be so? So there was a lot of self-doubt. And if you come and work with me, I have a guy called Marvin. Marvin is one of our tools we work with. And Marvin steps in because it's like your monkey mind or your ego that says, you can't be doing this. Like Marvin's trying to make you safe. So Marvin brings all that negativity in that you were talking about. But, you know, I went through this of it can't be that easy until the point of I went, stop beating yourself up. This is when I realized Marvin was often assisting me. But once I actually worked with somebody and I spent the time of going through, and I have a monthly group where I work with animal communicators. We do 2 sessions a month and we work with animals all around the world. And I love that I can say, hey, Shannon, you'll share something and somebody else will share it. And we all get these similarities up. And all of a sudden you go from being, oh my goodness, I made that up to, oh my goodness, I got what they got. And that's a really big thing for boosting our confidence.
Absolutely.
But I also know now when I work with people online, I say to them, you know, I don't want you sharing about your pet before you get on there because I want to be able to deliver. Always I deliver about their personality and things before we get on a call together. And then I say, Shannon, is this your animal? And you say, yes. Or I haven't had a no yet, but, you know, one day maybe. Yes. And then we go through the questions that they want to know and then whatever. And when that's occurring, you know, for me, I kind of have this little ritual now. When I sit down, I sometimes play a song or, you know, I just tune into the animal. But as soon as I put them up onto my document and I look at their photo and their words, boom, the information comes. So it's taken time to sort of drill that down or nail that down for myself. And one of the things that I can say to anybody listening, as much as you probably hate meditating, the concept of doing 5 to 10 minutes a day actually slows the mind down and allows you to feel into your body. And that will actually help you with your connection. Now, if you don't meditate, because there's lots of us that have got busy minds that don't, you get about this much information. If you do, you get about this much. So it's kind of like you're tapping into the big pool. But, you know, for me, I walk every morning with the dogs and I walk out in nature. We live beside a beautiful canal. I mean, where I live is just beautiful, right? There's hundreds of animals everywhere. So it's not like I never have an animal. You know, the wildlife used to send me messages and I'd go, whew. But I remember another animal communicator in my early days was saying, oh, this, you know, I sat down and this bird started to talk to me and I thought, what a load of rubbish. How could that occur? Right? Because I was disbelieving that that would be what could happen for me. But every single person is on a different journey. So it doesn't matter if that doesn't happen to you. It doesn't matter if you need to bring your senses in and do all these things. But what does matter is that you start to trust yourself and acknowledge what you're receiving. And, you know, we had an exercise in my group last week that they had to connect to the little poodle I've got here, right? So she's 17, she's completely deaf and about 90% blind. And I asked them to connect with her and ask the question, what does it taste like? What does it smell like? What does it feel like? Now, a lot of people, when they first start out, don't get taste and smell. And it was so funny at the end of them, they said, you know, writing away, and then they came back and said, oh my God, I could taste what she was tasting. I've never been able to taste. But it was more because there was no judgment about what little Jess was going to say. So I would encourage people that are listening, just take a day. Like today, you might want to play with your smelling senses. And what do you smell when you're walking around? You know, can you smell the air? Can you smell the rain? And just feel and believe in it. And journal. That's another big thing. Write down. Because all of a sudden you'll come back and you'll think, oh my God, my dog told me that, or my cat told me that, and I didn't believe it, but I've heard it 5 times now. It must be true. And you know, the thing of talking, you talked about your own pets. I had a beautiful cat called Spyro. and he dislocated his paw. What do we call this? We'll call this our toe. And it was sitting up, and I was thinking, oh no, I can't cope with this. And I thought, oh, I've got to get him to the vet. Well, I wasn't going to pick him up because when I'd go near him, he'd just hiss and growl at me. And it was because he was in pain. So this is really magical. I got the cat carry case out, I put it down, I took the lid off it, and I said to him, sweetheart, I need you to get into that for me. I'm going to lock it up. I'm going to drive you to the vet and we'll get pain relief. And he went in it, shut it, got there.
Amazing.
I told him, and I just went, I love this stuff. You know, even though it was my animal, I, you know, like other people at times, you know, when my animals are sick, I'm a stressed out mum. Yeah. And then, you know, we come back and we can then go, oh, yes, that's right. You know, sometimes I go, Donna, you're an animal communicator. Don't tell anybody, but go and fix this, right? You know, it's like you go, oh, who will I call? Ghostbusters, you know?
Right, exactly.
But if there's anybody listening, if you're feeling this, then start with your own pets. And the thing I think with our own pets, though, is we discard that because we know them so well. But that's why if you write down a question that you receive from them, and then you can look at it over time, you will start to see a pattern in their responses. And that's a really beautiful way to go. Or, you know, you might just want to go outside to the wildlife and send love to them every day. And from time to time, you'll start to receive beautiful messages. But my one caveat I would say to people is just don't walk up to somebody randomly in the street and go, oh, I talked to your dog. This is what they just told me, because people will get upset at that.
Yeah, it's about, you know, healthy boundaries are always a good idea. Yes, I love that. Sometimes I find, you know, when I'm even walking in the neighborhood or I meet a new animal, and I'm aware that that animal doesn't like their name or that they're having some internal pain or whatever's going on. And, you know, I have to really, maybe that animal just needs somebody to talk to.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's not about fixing the situation for them in that particular way. They know where their humans at better than I ever could. And the one thing that comes up as I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking back to one of my mentors who always says to us, never assume you know anyone, including yourself. You know, so we can't assume just because it's our own animal that we know. Sometimes the biggest surprises I get come from my own animals, and I discover I don't really know them at all. In fact, I'm in the process of getting to know myself at a different level through this animal communication journey. And it's such a wonderful process when you think, oh, I've been together, like you and your little one have been together for 17 years. My Pearl has been with me for 23 years. And every day there's still something new we can learn about them. Another way to practice our unconditional love in action. And it is so magical. I mean, so much of our lives we've been taught to filter everything through our mind, that we have all these senses. It may, and I was listening to you as you were talking about the students getting so excited about smelling, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, it may be that they have had that experience before, but they've never been aware of it until now because they didn't even know it was possible. So, and I love your idea of, you know, go for a walk and smell the rain, and imagine closing your eyes, and, you know, if you just smelled that, would you think, oh, that must be the rain? Maybe, because maybe it's already in there. That data is already in there. But just waking up, I often share that when I've learned that I could communicate versus that I could hire somebody to communicate for me with my animals, I learned that there was this whole new part of me that I didn't even know existed. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel more alive than I ever knew was possible. If that isn't a good reason to give it a try, you know, to take that part of you that says, oh no, anyone but me, I couldn't possibly do it, and say, well, let's just see. Let's just try. Let's just see that maybe I want to revisit that. Maybe I want to reach out to Donna or to Shannon, and I want to revisit that.
I think the thing for everybody who's connected with their pets, You do have that ability. It's just taking it a step further. And, sometimes it's that just understanding them, but is that understanding them understanding you, which is what you've just said. I believe our pets are a reflection on us always. And, I'll give you an example. 2 years ago when that, COVID started, whatever, my mum retired. My mum's 70, she was 76, 77 then, retired from work. She was never going to retire otherwise. And she said, I'm a bit lonely, Donna, I need a dog. And I said, I don't think a dog would be good for you, Mum. It's not your lifestyle. I had given her one of my other older dogs a couple of years before, but she was insistent she have a dog. So there just happened to pop up on Facebook, these people giving away this little fluff ball. So I said, come on, let's go meet her. And she was a gorgeous little thing. Well, my mum fell in love on the way home. And I'm going, let's just see, Mum. And it was just so funny. So this little dog's a Pomeranian cross. And my mum says to me, what's that stuff that you do again, Donna? And I said, well, she said, well, can you talk to her? She's barking a lot. And I'm like laughing my head off. And I said, Mum, she likes the sound of her voice. Well, she's got to stop barking. And I said, okay. So, I connect with Zali and I ask her questions. And Zali says, well, Mum can't hear. She doesn't. So for my mum, she doesn't always hear the phone, or she, the lift goes off. So Zali barks to give those messages to my mum. And I go, Mum, she's not doing anything wrong because she's trying to alert you because you're not hearing these things. So either you need to have a look at how you can work with it. And it's just hilarious. Like I said to Mum, well, maybe we should put carpet rugs down so it's not so loud for her and, go through some things. But it's like, what do you do again, Donna? How can you help my dog? And it's like, but, there's the thing is this little dog is taking that as her job. Her job is to protect my guardian, or my job is to alert her to things. And, because barking's a problem for a lot of dogs, but, it's getting to why does this occur? And, and I talk to Zali and say, Zali, just do it in a quieter voice, maybe not so loud. And she stays here sometimes, and she's an absolute beautiful soul when she stays here, never barks, never is concerned about anything, because it's a safe environment. She doesn't need to be what she thinks is the leader at that time to look after my mum. Here she's just one of the pack, and we all, do the thing. So that aspect of it is, like I say to Mum, she's trying to help you. And so, for people thinking about it, look at your pets and see what they are reflecting and showing in you. And then what's that mean for you? Because, that is a great reason to learn animal communication, is just to figure out what is that purpose. What is their purpose? What is my purpose when it comes to this relationship together?
I love
there's some love there right now.
I love that. I know those of you who are only listening to the podcast version are missing out on a session of unmanageable cuteness, and unconditional love from somebody who's trying to tell his mommy he wants to go to bed. But it's interesting because I think about how much human beings talk, how much we use our voices, and what would it be like if somebody kept coming along telling us to be quiet when we're trying to talk, we're trying to share information. And so starting to recognize whatever the behavior is that we're trying to work with in our interspecies family, start with the assumption that there is a good reason. Even if that reason is just, I'm a chatty being, I'm an extrovert, I like to talk to people, I like to scream in my mommy's ear and blow out a right speaker. Or it could be something else, but it's like when we look for a reason, we will find one. And it will make sense when we learn the path of empathy, which is to be able to see life from the animal's perspective.
I think that is an important point, is that if people book in a session with me and they say, I need you to fix my dog, I go, you've got the wrong person, because I can't fix anything. I can certainly help you understand your dog better. And then we work towards how to make that a manageable situation for both parties. because
Yeah.
maybe you're not doing the right thing here. Oh, I can't possibly do that. You know, it's like the people who dog is tearing the house up. And I say to them, have you taken your dog for, exercised your dog? Oh, well, I work a lot of hours. I say, I get that, but imagine how bored they are. And we talk about, one of my things is I always go on about the sniff and the wee, right? Take your dogs for a sniff and wee. So I do, interestingly enough, I mainly do dogs. And then I'll have a week of just all cats. And I laugh and I go, dogs are so much easier. And I do a lot of healings on horses, interestingly. I have different little animals I work with in terms of things that occur, but dogs, I do a lot of dogs. And, it's always about the sniff and the wee. And I try to explain to them, they just want a little patch just there because it's mentally stimulating them. And when we go through and I explain these things, I love the way people light up, because all of a sudden it's like, I get it. And then the message is my dog's completely changed in 24 hours. And I've done nothing, Donna. I go, yes, you have. They've been heard. They've been able to share their message and you've accepted it. And maybe that's all this session was meant to be. So, if you're at home and you're wanting to dip your toes in, then sometimes there's just a message to be shared from your baby to you for whatever the purpose is.
A lot to think about, a lot to take in. Well, we have arrived at the end of our time tonight, because I have this feeling that you and I, Donna, we could talk for a very long time. I have this feeling there's a lot to say, there's a lot to share. And I don't want to conclude without sharing how our listeners and our viewers can get in touch with you. You mentioned that you've got a group. I know you've got some cards. You've got a lot going on after your holiday. You've got a lot going on, and would love to be able to make those connections for anyone who feels that so inclined tonight or this morning. I keep saying tonight because we're recording at night, but I know you can listen anytime.
It's morning here. So essentially for me, I do offer animal communication classes. I do a level 1 and I'm about to offer an advanced. So I don't know what time this comes out, but I'll have those 2 classes. And then what I tend to do for my level 1, because this is what I felt was a need in the market, was that I've set up a group. So once you've gone through the foundation, you come into my group and then we do all this practice. And it's such a safe environment because people can share and then they'll say this has happened or that's happened, but it's a group. So, if you've already done a course with somebody else, but you want the confidence, then reach out to me. It's 36 Australian dollars, which in America is about $18 a month. And we have we've connected to zebras and we do snakes, and we did a lynx the other day. And on Sunday, we did this razorback pig. So I really try and get lots of different animals for people to connect with, not just doing your basic animals. I know you're not basic, but your dogs.
No, of course not. Yeah, outside of the norm. For sure. That's really amazing. So I have those. That's my teaching platform, and of course I do animal communication and healing. And then I do have these beautiful cards, which they're called Pet Connection cards. And of course, I love you. I created these couple of years ago, 18 months ago, maybe, for people who are starting out with animal communication and they needed a tool to support them. So, they're really simple. You just, sit, draw your energy back into your heart center and you think of the question, you just shuffle and, you pull out like, Ajax, what's your message for me today? Very, very simple. So these are available on my website. If you want to come over and say hello, please do. Love to meet you. Join me on my Facebook page. Say hello. I often do card readings on the page. I don't know. If not, have a fantastic day anyway. And Shannon, thank you so much for inviting me here. It's been awesome. It's absolutely been a joy to have you as a part of Let's Talk to Animals. This is one of the reasons why I felt the animals asked me to do this podcast. And this is one of we were talking about the ways that we can each contribute. And we'll all have something different. So there's something different that we can all I love these cards that you have. Those of you who are listening and not watching, she's got this beautiful deck of cards. and each on the back, it has on the front, it has a gorgeous picture. On the back, it has a message, and they're all different. And there's so many contributions we can make. Yeah, for those who are just listening to the podcast version, you've got in this particular one, she's got a beautiful canine face and a heart, and then lots of little hearts around it with lots of other, yeah,
That's my boy
gorgeous.
Apex.
That's
Most
okay.
of these are
So
my pets around here. Yeah.
so they're just beautiful. And for me, you know, I ran a podcast when I founded and ran a charity in another incarnation of my very diverse career. And so I knew this was something that was in my wheelhouse. And one of the points of this podcast is to listen to each episode and hear there are so many different ways to approach it. And there are so many different insights to have, but the fundamentals are all there. When you hear that this is a deeply intuitive, energetic process. This isn't about going back to college. This is about coming back home to yourself, to your heart. I also want to encourage those of you who are brand new to Let's Talk to Animals. First of all, please like us, subscribe, favorite, share with a friend. We're still a young show and deeply appreciate you helping us to survive and thrive in this vast sea of podcast options that we have today. I also want to encourage you to head over to animallovelanguages.com. I think I forgot to mention my website at the beginning. I was so excited about Donna. So you can head over there. I've got under Learn With Me, you can find a free 5-day animal communication camp, which will walk you through 5 of the major intuitive pathways through which animals can send you information, including taste and smell, which we talked about today. There's a 4-part intuitive pet parent series. And for the first time ever, I am also offering classes. So would love to see you. Sign up for our newsletter and head over to the podcast page. You can find this episode. You can find all of our episodes. You can watch on YouTube. You can listen on your favorite streaming service. If I'm not serving to your favorite streaming service, send me an email and I will try to work some internet magic to make it happen. Most of all, thank you for offering us your time. We know you've got lots and lots of options in the few free hours that you have every week. And we deeply appreciate the love, respect, and care that you have for all of the different species we share this planet with. I've started saying this a lot here on the podcast because I feel like this is an audience that will appreciate it. It's not that I'm not excited about going to Mars or that I don't think it would, be a fantastic getaway, but I like it here. And I'd really like to keep living here. And I'd like to make it a safe and healthy, happy place for all of us. And by all of us, I mean all of the species. And so you being here, listening to Let's Talk to Animals, it's a part of that. And Donna, you being here and taking your time when there's so many things that you could be doing and taking time to share your story, it's deeply appreciated. Again, I want to remind you, and you can look in the show notes, Donna, you can reach her at Donna DoLittle with 1o.com.au. That last .au is very important, so don't forget it. And of course, you can find us at animallovelanguages.com. Donna, I wish you a beautiful morning. And Pearl and I are going to have a beautiful evening made the better for our conversation. So look forward to seeing you again, hopefully here on the podcast and out there in our wonderful community of interspecies conversationalists. And look forward to seeing all of you and tuning in with all of you, our dear listeners and viewers, next week with a fresh new episode of Let's Talk to Animals.